One of the most popular questions that amateur footballers are curious about is how much does a professional footballer run in a match? Before, it used to be very complicated. You need professional sports scientists to be able to read and analyze the data. Now we have things like this, the Catapult 1. It's a GPS tracker that you put inside of a vest. You wear it underneath your jersey. Using satellite technology, it tracks things such as your distance covered, your top speed, and even your power plays. So as you guys can see, I brought Georgie out here. Georgie's a professional footballer for Detroit City FC. We're gonna have Georgie wear the Catapult 1, and I'm gonna track his performance over a 90-minute match. Georgie, how far do you think you're gonna run?
I will say anywhere between 6 and 7 miles.
And for your hometown Detroit City FC's
As you can see, the atmosphere at Detroit City FC games is something unique. Georgie has been here for 8 years, so he's seen the club grow from being in the NPSL to NISA, which is the third division of US professional soccer. In this game, Georgie started versus 1904 FC, a team from San Diego, California. Georgie plays as a holding mid for us, and he's a very good number 6. His passing percentage is one of the highest on the team, and he does a great job to organize the team defensively. He's also a very dedicated professional. He's vegetarian, takes good care of his body, and makes sure he puts himself in the best position to be successful. It isn't just about being a good footballer, but there's so much more that needs to happen for players to get to this level. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it is important to note. Obviously at home, you typically have the advantage early, controlling possession and being the team on the front foot. Georgie started well, moving around in good positions and helping the team get a good start. And fortunately, we got on the scoreboard early. After a goal, players often get a bit more momentum. They feel the adrenaline, and I could tell Georgie was feeling good. As you can see, he's not a box-to-box player. He has to make sure he's in the right position to bring the ball out of the back for us, but also to prevent any opportunities for the opposition. And I think he was doing that very well. The first half is typically more controlled, with teams being cautious and analyzing the opponent. However, since we scored early, the game opens up a bit quicker. And thanks to an interception by Georgie, we managed to get another goal.
City's shape so good here, so well formed, not allowing a lot of passing lane. Good pursuit on the ball as well. Oh, that's just mean.
Now with some space, Venegas making a run on the right side as well. That shot will strike. It's pure. And Detroit City FC takes a 2-0 lead.
Is excellent refereeing by our first official tonight. There was a foul at the back with a player that is down for City. Referee could have stopped play, played the advantage, and the advantage was taken. There's the foul. Referee could have stopped it right there.
However, Georgie was hurt during the transition, and it created a little doubt as to whether he could carry on. Although it was a pretty bad collision, Georgie managed to continue playing, and we went into halftime 2-0 up.
We talked about it. Key number 1 was fast start.
So if I pull up the Catapult 1 app, we can check out Georgie's heat map. And in the first half, you actually ran 3.3 miles. And looking at your heat map, you were in pretty good position throughout the entire first half. And we can also look at his top speed, which in the first half was 16.9 miles per hour. I bet I can actually pick this one up.
I think I can too.
You can too?
I think we had a corner kick or set piece. They played through us, and then I had to track one of their fastest players. Just had to run a 50-yard sprint all the way back just to track to make sure that he doesn't get the ball. The ball didn't even get played to him in the end, but just had to track back to make sure.
And then if we look at his power map, we can see that you had 39 power plays. Power plays are just high impact movements, quick accelerations, quick decelerations, things like that. And looking at the map, you can see all of the different power plays that you had. So overall, pretty good performance in the first half. Now we'll take a look at the second half and we'll come back with the overall summary of his performance. In the second half, there's a few things that you have to factor that might affect some of the data that we will get from the Catapult 1 pod. For example, the scoreline can determine whether a team will sit back or have to push forward. Being up 2-0 allows us to not chase the game, but it is important to not let up thinking that the game is over. Georgie will have to be a lot more calculated with his movements, making sure he doesn't get out of position too often. Also, we have to factor in his injury from the first half. Because it was a blow to the nose, it could affect his breathing, which would mean he might not be able to run as effectively in the second half. Obviously, we will see shortly when we analyze the data, but just some things to keep in mind. The game continued, and Georgie started to feel the impact from the collision, so it got harder for him to breathe as the game went on. We decided to sub him out, ending his night after 80 minutes. The important thing now is to recover. He needs to make sure he hydrates right away and sees the trainer. And as soon as the game is over, he needs to eat a post-match meal to replace all of the calories that he burned during the game. Another great part of Catapult 1 is the Academy section, where you can get tips and advice based on all of the data that you have collected. Take a look at this section to see what Premier League coaches would recommend for you and how to properly recover. Not only are there coaching tips, but many articles that you can read from top-level professionals. This can help you manage your fitness levels and start preparing for your next match right away. The game ended up 3-0 as we scored a goal late to put the game away. It was a good performance from the team overall, so now it's time to look at the final stats and see how Georgie did. All right, so in the end, it was a good game. We ended up winning 3-0. So now let's take a look at the data, not just for the second half, but for his whole performance. So as you can see, when I open up the app, I go into the Sessions tab. In the Sessions, you have the calendar. You just click on the date. You can see on the 21st, I have the match versus 1904 FC with the score and the total time that the Catapult 1 recorded the session. And we have a lot of metrics there that we can analyze for Georgie, such as the distance, the top speed, the sprint distance, and the power play. So if we look at the details, one of the ones that's probably going to be most important to the overall majority of people analyzing their data is the distance. Georgie ran a total of 6.14 miles. Now, keep into account that that was over an 80-minute period. Had he gone 90 minutes, I do think he would have reached 7 miles. Just based on his 5-minute breakdown, you can see the chart there, and also his comparison to the first half. Do you think you ran enough or you covered enough distance?
I would say for playing 80 minutes, it's a good amount of distance covered. Some games you're going to run a lot more if you don't have the ball. Other games you're going to have more of the ball and you can be in possession for the most part. So it all depends on the game, but for this game specifically, I thought for a 3-0 win, it was a good amount of distance covered.
And then again, you can see in the comparison what the pros target is, which is 7.11 miles. Obviously for 80 minutes, 6.14 is pretty good. If we look at his top speed, your top speed, Georgie, was 17.3, so there was another run in the second half that was a little bit faster than anything you did in the first half. And then we had another 29 power plays in the second half. And obviously when you're analyzing the data, you have to take a look at the factors of the game. So his injury, the fact that he came out a little bit earlier, and also the trends of the game, whether the other team had a little bit more momentum, whether we were on the front foot. So things like that are going to impact everything from your distance to your top speed to your power plays as well. So don't be just looking at the number, but think about the game, analyze the game, and then you can determine whether you feel like this was good or whether there is some room for improvement. And then finally, if we just take a look at his sprint distance, in the first half he had 486 yards, in the second half 373. So looking at all these numbers, I think it was a pretty even performance throughout. At the end of the day, we won 3-0, so Georgie was in good positions, and it isn't always just about how far he's running, but calculating those runs and making sure that he's not getting out of position too often. I'll actually leave a link to the game if you want to watch his entire performance, and I'll also leave a link to Catapult's website so you can go ahead and purchase your very own Catapult 1. And also, if you want me to do a more detailed breakdown of the app and the Catapult 1 GPS tracker, let me know in the comment section down below. So we're going to track Georgie's performance throughout the season. We're going to hopefully find some things that he can improve on, and we're going to try and do our best to prevent him from getting injured, making sure that he's ready and fit for every match that comes ahead. The most important part of this isn't to simply look at the distance Georgie covered and determine whether he had a good game or not. It's to analyze the data as a whole, look at areas in which we feel he did well and others where he could improve, and find the right balance. By that, I mean we need him to be fit and conditioned for a 90-plus minute game, but also not to burn him out where he hasn't properly recovered and could be at risk for injury. So thankfully, with the Catapult 1, this becomes an easy process and gives us data that we otherwise wouldn't have. As we continue to track his performances in training sessions, we will get a better idea of where Georgie's fitness levels are, allowing us to tailor training sessions so that the players are ready and we can prevent injury as best as we can. Again, huge shout out to the people at Catapult for providing us with the Catapult 1. It's a great solution to help take your game to the next level. And if you want to watch the game that we just broke down, I'll leave a link in the description so you can see for yourself exactly how Georgie did. I hope this video gave you some insight into how much a professional footballer runs in a match, and now I hope you can take that into your own team. Best of luck to you all.